Welcome back. So we are going to start a new chapter now. This is chapter number 7 in ebook. So and chapter number 8 in paperback. Okay, and this is about the vibration of continuous system. Okay, so we started with single degree of freedom system. Then we worked on 2 degree of freedom system. From that we can extend it to multi-degree of freedom system like 3 degree of freedom, 4, and so on. Continuous system, that really means actually it has infinite number of infinite degree of freedom system. Okay, so this will be something like for example, you have a beam, for example, like something like this, and if this vibrate like this, yeah, so if this kind of vibration is this is a continuous system. This is a beam basically. You have studied during your solid mechanics class. Yeah, you apply a load, it will bend. However, if you give base excitation like this one, it is going to vibrate like this. Yeah. Okay, and this is in your lab also. Okay, so you have to study the mode of vibration of beam, the cantilever beam like this one. You fixed at one end, and you give some some displacement and leave it. It is going to vibrate, right? So, okay, so this we are going to study in this chapter. Okay, so we will any kind of elastic system is actually equivalent to some spring. Here also is a kind of a spring only. You apply a load, it goes down, you leave, and then it will come back to the original position, right? So, and it also has a mass also. The mass is distributed basically, right? So if mass is there, spring is there, it is going to vibrate. Okay, in all cases like that only. So you have seen that. Okay, he will write an equation for that, and I will see what kind of solution you get and all. So that's what we are going to do. So to begin with, let's start with the beam only. Okay, so your beam is, some cantilever beam is like this, and this is going to this is the boundary condition could be anything, we don't know. Yeah, so maybe cantilever beam, or maybe fixed, and maybe fixed one side, simply supported the other side. Depending on the boundary condition, the mode of vibration will also will change. But we are going to derive it for the general purpose. Yeah, so when you say general purpose, that really means that we just start with the beam equations. And in your solid mechanics, you already had beam, right? Solid mechanics, and you studied. What you studied? You studied the Euler-Bernoulli, right? So Euler-Bernoulli beam equation. And which equation? You had, remember, you had E I del square y, the y square is equal to m. Yeah, so mx. So this again, this comes from solid mechanics that you have studied. This is the equation you have studied already. However, this is for a static. Yeah, so static meaning that this is valid for all cases, whether it's a static or dynamic. It is valid always. Yeah. So where m is the bending moment, remember that this is bending moment, and here is the Young's modulus E. This is this I is second moment of area, and this is the derivative, sorry, del square y over del x square. Yeah. Okay. So this is so basically representing the curvature basically, right? So this is the 1 del theta over del x. This is what represent this one. Yeah. Okay. Now this is this equation we know already, and we will make use of that. And let's consider like a beam, a part of the beam. Okay, so there is a big beam here, and part of that we are considering. Let's say here, and the this slice has the distance del x, right? So we can have dx like this one from here to here, yeah, or maybe we can also write the del x like this one. So that way it is you know, it can, because y this is a vibration problem, so y will be a function of x and maybe function of t also, right? So that's why we just write del x like this. Yeah. Okay. Now which all kinds of loading it will have? Okay, we are assuming there is no distributed load on the beam, so no Q basically, but still there will be shear forces. So you have V here, you have V plus dV over dx, yeah. Okay, now there may be bending moment. There will be bending moment. Yeah. So this is m. This is del m over del x. Yeah. Sorry. This will have m, yeah, plus del m over del x dx. Okay. Okay, so del it's making, okay, that's fine. So del x, let's say we write del x only. So, okay. Okay, now the thing is we have to relate. How to relate? Relating what? What is the relation between m and v? So that all those things we know already, but here also we can find out. So basically the basic equation comes from equating all the vertical forces equal to not 0, because in the solid mechanics we said equal to 0, but it's a dynamics, basically dynamic problem. So we will say our y is positive upward. Okay, so if y is equal to m y double dot, but m we are talking about the mass of this. So actually we are talking about the del m, okay, the mass of this one, and mass of this will be rho times dx, okay, equal to rho times del x is the mass and y double dot, where rho is the mass per unit length, okay. So rho del x y double dot equal to total force. Okay, total force in this case, if you see, we have the only shear forces only. So what do we get? We get V minus, right, V upward minus V minus del over del V del x. Okay, so this will be total force upward equal to rho del x and then y double dot, and that gives us, this cancels out, and what do we have? We have this equal to that value, and simply we have minus del v over del x is equal to rho y double dot. Yeah, so this is the basic equation we have. Okay, this is a vibration problem basically, and now next thing is we have to find out what is the meaning of V in this case, and you can get from here. So next, if you, and we know basically, but from there also you get, take a moment of this point from with respect to this point. Let's say this is A, this is B, okay, point B. So about point B, total moment has to be equal to 0, okay, and because of force balance, it is like this one, yeah. And what you will find in this case is m. Okay, so first anticlockwise, so you get m plus dm dx minus m. Okay, minus m. So this minus this and minus this also. So this one is this way, and then we have this way also. So minus m minus, and then we get v, okay, v times del x is equal to 0. Yeah? And from this equation, what we get? Del m over del x equal to v. Yeah? So this we know v equal to del m over dx, del x, right? So we apply it here, and what do we get? We get equation equal to rho del y, rho y double dot equal to minus, and then we get v equal to del m over del x, so minus del square m over del x square. Yeah? So we get this equation. But we have this also, ei del square y del x square equal to mx. So if you put this value here, and we get the final equation. So final equation will be something like this. So it will be this mx, we are going to put it here. So del square over del x, and then we have ei del square y over del x square, right? We have like this, okay, and then equal to so this, yeah, equal to minus rho y double dot, that is equal to minus rho del square y over del t square. That's what we mean. Yeah. So this is what the equation we got for the vibration of beam, basically. Yeah. So that we need to solve it. Let's write it nicely, the way we write. So we rho del square y del t square plus del square, so del x square, like this, del x square, and ei del square y over del x square equal to 0. Okay. Now this is the equation that you have to solve, and there will be along with that there has to be some boundary conditions. So given this initial value problem, at the same time this has y. If you see the y is being differentiated 4 times, hence it will have 4 constants when you integrate it. So that means there has to be 4 values. Basically boundary conditions are initial value means t equal to 0, maybe the values will be given. At x equal to L, some value will be given. So it will have both boundary conditions and initial value condition, the initial conditions as well, right? Like this one. So there may be t equal to 0, all y equal to 0, everywhere to y equal to 0. So this is one of the conditions, and so on. There has to be 4 conditions in order to solve it, right? Okay, so now the 4 conditions in y and 2 condition is time also. Okay, so this is also 2 variables. Accordingly, that also you have to take care of. Okay, now the thing is, we are not going to solve for t part. We know that. Okay, so we will see first why what I said, why that is true. But only thing is, so far we know that this is here differentiation 4 times here, 2 times here. Hence the boundary conditions have to be given at 4 boundary conditions needed to solve this one, and since for this one you get two initial value conditions that you need, then you will be able to solve it. Okay. Anyway, so you must have studied this, the partial differential equations basically, where y is a function of x and t both. So y is function of x and t both. Okay, so how to solve it? Okay, so the one way is to assume y as a function of both, right? So okay, y is a function of xt for sure, but what is called separation of variables. So meaning that we here find out, assume 2, so maybe we find out p a function of x and q which is a function of t. Two functions like that we can write, right? Okay, and then we put it there. Okay, so what equation you get? You get rho, and then in this case you get px, and then you get del a square q over del t square. Okay, and then in this case you get, let's assume ei equal to constant. Okay, need not be constant, but ei constant in this case, so that we get easy equations. So we get ei, and then this is partial differential. This is to x only, so you have q2 qt part here, and then you have a del 4, and then we have a p, a function of x, and del x4. Okay, that equal to 0. Let's begin. Okay, now divide by px times qt. We divide by yxt only. Okay, then what do we get? We get rho del a square q over del t square. Here rho divided by q, okay, qt, and then plus ei, and then you have px, and then del 4p over del x4, okay, equal to 0. Yeah. Okay, so that really means we can now also write like this. We can write like rho over qt del a square q over del t square equal to minus ei px, and then del 4p over del x4. You can write like this equal to this. Yeah, and that should be equal to a constant c equal to a constant. Why a constant? Because see, here you have a function which is q, which is a function of t, and then you have a function p, which is also a function of x, and after all these operations, this is equal to this, no matter what t is, no matter what x is, and that is only possible when both the expressions are equal and equal to a constant only, which is that means c is not a function of x, c is neither a function of x nor a function of t, it's a constant, so it's like this one. Okay, now here you have two solutions, so you can, if you want, since we have assumed this equation is composed of the yxt is composed of two sub-functions and they are multiplied together, so we can independently find out how they look like, right? You like independently find out q, right? And like this one. So how to find like this? So this will be del a square q over del t square, okay, equal to c over rho, right? So c over rho q t, right? This will be 1, right? Okay, and this equation will be equal to ei del 4p over del x4 equal to minus c px. Okay, we can also have C over EI in this case, like this. Yeah. So these are two equations, and as I said earlier, you need two initial value problem, the initial value conditions, so that you apply here. You can solve this one. In this case, you have 4 boundary conditions, and you can solve this one, and both will be independent now. The variables are separated already. Yeah. Okay, and then whatever your solution you get, and you can find out the final solution. So if you have this kind of solution, right, when you have del A square Q and del T square minus C over rho Qt, like this, equal to 0. If it is like this one, then you have basically this is also, you call it eigenvalue problem, right? This is eigenvalue problem. Why eigenvalue problem? You see here, del A square over del T square is like an operator, and it's operating on Q, and this is equal to the same variable here multiplied by a constant. So C over rho is nothing but this is like a lambda. Yeah, the lambda means eigenvalue. This is eigenvalue. Yeah. Okay. Or this basically also gives you the omega square. Yeah, this is sort of a omega square, and Q will be sinusoidal function. Okay. The solution of this one is this will be solution. You must have done in this in your mathematics course. If you have the equation like this one, the solution Q will be a general solution will be, in this case, Q will be A sine omega t plus B cos omega t. So this will be the general solution for this one. You can put there, you can actually do it. And then you do the further analysis, meaning that you actually put these values here and find out what is the value of A, what is the value of B. There are two you can find out from there. Okay? So finally your solution you get in terms of C times A and like that. So anyway, so automatically you can you will find out the solution. But general solution is like this one, and the final solution will depend on the initial condition. Right? So apply initial condition. Right? So got like this. Okay. So if at t equal to 0, everything is 0. For example, at t equal to 0, everything is 0. Then what happens? If t equal to 0, at t equal to 0, y is equal to 0. Y equal to 0 means basically you are saying q is equal to 0. Q equal to 0. If that is the case, then you know that in that case b has to be equal to 0. So that simply means b equal to 0. Yeah. So like that you can, depending on the initial conditions, you can find out the solution. Okay. So this is done. One portion is done. Now second portion is this. Yeah. So the second equation that we have to solve is del 4 p over del x4 equal to minus c over ei and ex. It's like this. Okay. So this we will solve. Okay. So here also we solve the similar way. So again we have to assume what the value will be. So equal to, we write here plus c over ei and px equal to 0. Okay. Now in this case, what is the solution of this one? So that we need to see. Yeah. So it depends on the value of c basically. Yeah. So c in this case we assume the c, but c could be plus or minus. C equal to, may be a plus, positive, or a negative value in this case, right? So depending on that, the solution may be different. Okay, let's assume, or I may be wrong. Let's see whether what I'm saying is correct or not. So let's assume C is a positive number. Okay, C is a positive number. Okay, and in that case, what happens? What will be the solution in that case? What will be the general solution for that? Okay, so we have assumed this is a positive number. Okay, and we have to assume both of them because we don't know whether C is positive or negative, because we said this is equal to a number, positive number, equal to a number, but which number? We don't know. Yes, it could be positive or negative, so we have to take care of both of them. So we have to assume positive also, negative also. So it's a positive number. So how to find out? Okay, so we can say P equal to, let us say, e to the power alpha, alpha x. Okay. So typically we assume like this one, in this kind of, right? And if you do that, if you put it here, then what do you get? You will get, if you put it here, you get alpha. You can actually you can say P equal to e to power alpha, or you can have A also here. But in this case, you will see that A will automatically get out of the equation. So what we are going to do? You will write here A, and then you have alpha 4, yeah, and then you have e to power alpha x plus C over ei, and then you have A e alpha x equal to 0. And then A and E alpha x, A alpha x will be gone. So what do you have? You have alpha 4 plus C over EI equal to 0, and alpha equal to, you will have minus C over EI and equal to 1 over 4. Yeah? So will be equal to plus minus, for example, plus minus I root C over EI, and then a square root of that also. So what we see is this, if you take a square root of that, then we will get, so complex numbers, further complex number, in fact, right? Or those numbers will be of this type, will be say U plus I V type, right? Okay, so that means the solution will be, P will be equal to U A will be A times E to power U plus IV times X. Okay, where we have this kind of thing. So that really means finally the P will be a combination of right, e to power some ux and sinusoidal functions, right? So e to power I Vx, right? So sinusoidal function like sine Vx, cos Vx, and so on, right? So this we have to see that finally this predicts that the solution will be sinusoidal also and exponential also. Both the solutions will be there. Similarly, you can also assume in this case this is negative. Yeah. So if del for P del x4 and you have negative number here. Yeah. So if that is the if this is a negative number C to begin with, yeah. So then we will get similar kind of solutions. So if you see here, it tells alpha equal to alpha will be equal to minus C equal to EI and 114. Since C is negative, so automatically we get plus minus then minus c over ei square root of that. Yeah, so let's write like this, equal to a square root minus c over ei, right? And then 1/4 of that also, but here we will get plus minus of that, and then we get a square root of that. So positive part we will get basically like this. So we get minus c over ei, yeah, plus, so we will have plus minus, and then this will be 1/4 of that, and then we will have plus minus I, right? And then we will have again minus c over ei, 1/4 of that also. So here also what you see is this gives exponential term, yeah, and this gives you the sinusoidal terms. So here also exponential term, sinusoidal. In this case also exponential or sinusoidal. So basically what I'm saying is, in this case you can assume, if this is the case, then you can assume a general solution. A general solution will be, the general solution for this one will be p equal to something like this: a sine, and there will be some alpha x plus b, okay, sine, if the sine is alpha x, that will be cos alpha x solution, plus, since you also have exponential terms, so you can write exponential term, write c e to the power beta x, yeah, but plus minus both it will be, right, plus d e to the power minus beta x or something like that, right? So the just solution will be something like this one, which will have both the sinusoidal and exponential terms. Or you can also write like this: a sine alpha x plus b, and then you have cos alpha x plus c sine hyperbolic x, yeah, or sine hyperbolic beta x plus d sine hyperbolic beta x, sine will be cos hyperbolic, like this one. Now you can see here that these values, this one is actually both are same only, yeah. So this will be most likely alpha equal to beta, yeah. So that really means whatever you get here, alpha x, here it will be alpha x only. All the cases will be the same, yeah, because you see here both the cases, even if I plus minus all those things are there, but actual this value is the same one, yeah. So this is the beta value, right? So this is the same value up here. So alpha x, but here I wrote differently, but actually it will be the same. Okay, so this is what the solution you get, and then depending on the boundary conditions. The boundary conditions in this case, if the you have to see what kind of boundary condition it has. So let us say you have a cantilever beam. So cantilever beam, what kind of boundary condition you will have? So like this one. So you know that cantilever. So in that case, what you get is y equal to 0 at x equal to 0, del y over del x equal to 0 at x equal to 0. So that really means since we are working in terms of p, so that means p equal to 0 at x equal to 0. That really means that, yeah, del p over del x equal to 0 at x equal to 0, yeah, because now y has a p and q function, p we have separated, so it will look like that. At the end, here also there may be some condition. Some condition will be if there is a force, shear force there or not, a bending moment there or not, right? So you can write m equal to 0 at x equal to L. Right? M equal, since bending moment is equal to 0, and you know that bending moment is equal to EI del A square. In this case will be instead of y, you have p value, right? P x square will be 0 at x equal to L. So this means that, okay. And similarly, the shear force is also 0, means the derivative of this is also 0, since shear force is 0. So V equal to 0 at x equal to L, and you know V equal to dm over dx. Yeah, so that means EI del QP over del XQ equal to 0 at x equal to L. So you give these boundary conditions, you have 4 boundary conditions, here displacement and here force boundary condition, right? And this, you have these and you can find out the actual this value. Which values? Here we have to find out the A, B, C, D and alpha you have got from here only. What you will get is the combined value basically. Of the C also you will get based on that, because alpha depends on this C. So what is that C is, that you will find out. And mind it, this C or this is different, okay? So this is the different C, so we call it C1 like this one, so that we are not confused with this C, okay? So anyway, so you solve this one and you get some again the vibration. What it gives you is the kind of vibration it has, the free vibration. We have solved for the free vibration, and you know that free vibration, the amplitude, the amplitude will we will not get. What it is telling you is like what kind of shape it will be. Means y as a function of x. Okay, remember we had to begin with yxt equal to, we had px and qt. So now you can see this as amplitude and this as a how it varies with time basically, right? Okay, so that really means is something like this. So this will give you some function which will be something like this. Yeah, a function, this will be a function, this is PQ, it will be like this. So this has set the amplitude, means this is amplitude. Now this is the one which gives the time variation, means with time how it is changing. So at t equal to 0, this is like this one. From there you go like this, yeah, then you go like this and so on. Then you start going back here and then it will be flat again. Then you go like this one, go like this, go like this one. So this time variation is coming from QT part, but Px is a just, it will just give you amplitude, how this is going like this way. Yeah, so and again this is a what we have solved with a free vibration. So free vibration, the amplitude will depends on the initial values. So I mean the initial value in this case means is what is the displacement at some point. You have to add a few boundary conditions you will apply in order to know that what is the like initial value of that. Initial value of that meaning that for initial value, this will be, this can be 0, that's true. But you can also have, for example, you have you have displaced this one from here, and then you have left like this one, right? So the more displacement you give in the beginning, the more displacement it will have rest of the time. So all those things will it also depend on, right? So so anyway, so here the idea was not to get into details, but just to know how to solve this problem, which all types of things will be there, right? So you have sinusoidal term, you have the exponential terms, so those terms come into picture, and when you apply the boundary condition and all, you will get the exact solution. So this is not a one equation which will tell you that this is the vibration like this. This will have lot of constants, and constant will depend on the type, the initial values, and boundary conditions as well. So you have to take care of accordingly. Now the next thing is how to find out the natural frequency related to this one. Okay, so to find out natural frequency, we have to actually relate both P and Q. Yeah, so since we had two parts of the equations, remember? So we had EI, so EI del 4, then P over del x4, okay, is equal to, yeah, and then we had minus rho del square Q over del x here we have t square, right? We call it equal to C, a constant. Here we have also 1 over P, and in this case we have also 1 over Q here, like this one. Yeah, okay. So we have like this one. Now this value we call the Q is equal to some sinusoidal function. So we call it A sine omega t plus B cos omega t. Okay, so something like that we did. Okay, so that really means if you take double derivative of that, we get del square Q del t square. That becomes simply minus omega square and Q. We get like this, and hence we get 1 over, you see, del square Q del t square 1 over Q, we get equal to minus omega square. Yeah? That's what we get, right? Okay. And next thing is, if we get like this one, we can put it right here. So what we get? We get 1 over P EI del 4P over del x4, yeah, x4 equal to, and you have minus rho del then this term, and which is equal to minus omega square, and what you get equal to rho omega square. Yeah, that's what you are getting. Yes, so you are getting 1 over P equal to this, and finally the final equation is EI del 4P del x4 equal to rho omega square P. That's why you are getting like this. Yeah, this is the equation. Okay, if that is the equation, this will be the final value will be something like EI again this is eigenvalue equation, and what you are getting is EI del 4 P over del x4 minus rho omega square P equal to 0. Yeah, or del 4 P del x4, okay, here minus rho omega square over EI P is equal to 0, just like this one, okay, and hence you have the P will have, if you assume P equal to e to the power beta x, right? So then what do you get? The solution you will get equal to, here you can have any constant a here, for example, right? So a1 let us call, okay, so if you put this value there, and then what do you get? You will get a1, and then you get beta 4, right? Beta 4 minus, simply we get rho omega square over EI equal to 0, or from there you can find out omega, right? Omega, rho omega square over EI equal to beta 4, and hence they are related. Yeah, so what you get equal to omega equal to EI beta 4 over rho, yeah, square equal to omega square equal to EI times beta to the power 4 divided by rho, and hence omega equal to root EI over rho, and then you also have the beta 4 here, or you get square root plus you get the square root of that, so you get EI over rho times beta square. Yeah, so this is what you will get, means omega is the natural frequency which is related to the beta value. Remember that beta will have many solutions because this is a continuous system. As you know that number of omega depends on the number of degree of freedom, and this has infinite degree of freedom. Hence, omega will be infinite. Natural frequency will be infinite. And how you know here? How do you know it's infinite? This comes through the beta. Beta, when you have the 4 equations and you give the boundary condition to solve beta, you will see that what you get, beta you write in terms of cos and the cosine terms, or sinusoidal terms, and hence beta have lot of solutions. When you have cos beta x equal to 0, for example, so you know that beta will have infinite solution, right? So from there you get the beta will be in terms of natural number, basically. It will be like valid for n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. So hence you have many solutions, and that makes the fundamental frequencies. You have mode 1 when n equal to 1, mode 2 n equal to 2, and so on. So that means it have infinite natural frequencies, and natural frequency is given by relation will be like this one. So what we have done, we have written the equation of motion for a beam vibration, and then what we did, we separated the variables, then we solved them separately, yeah, to see separately how they look like. We were able to solve it, but remember there is both are connected, so there is something which will connect them. And what is the natural frequency? The one which connects both of them. So from one equation it gets EI, the other equation you get rho, so like this one. So finally it is connected. So you see natural frequency is actually a function of the mass per unit length also, E also, I also, and beta, which comes from the solution of the P part, the P as a function of X part. So the one which relates both of them is the equation for the natural frequency, and this is how you can find out the natural frequency from there. Okay, having said that, you can apply this trick to all kinds of continuous vibration. Okay, so this is one of the beam condition, which is the most difficult one, but you have this in your lab also, so I thought this to cover first. Similar analysis you can do for all other things. So other things will be like now beam, instead of vibrating like this one, the axial, now there will be axial displacement. Okay, so again there is a mass and a spring also axial, you know, EA over L is the stiffness. Yeah, and it also have a mass. If it has a mass per unit length, then it will act also, again it will act like a spring and mass system, and then hence again it will have infinite degree of freedom, hence infinite natural frequency as well. Okay, so accordingly, if you do this kind of analysis, you will find out the natural frequency and all you can find out. Okay, similarly there the other will be the torsion problem, where in this case now it will be like twisting like this one. Okay, again here in this case mass, instead of mass you have the mass moment of inertia which will take part, right, J, right, J equal to mk square, where k is the radius of gyration. So that will take part in that. So you can, if you know the equation, again the way we have written here, the same thing you can write, and those you have studied, the basic solid mechanics equation you get. The only difference is there, in that case you had a static problem, hence del A square, you know, in this case del square theta over del T square was 0, means there was no angular acceleration. But now there is a angular acceleration that will not make equal to 0, and hence you will get the equation. Yeah. So the torsion problem you can apply, longitudinal problem you can apply, and also you can also apply it when this has no, this is thin, for example. When thin, this is under tension, something like in guitar, right? So you're under tension and you give little bit of displacement somewhere, and it is going to vibrate like this, right? Like it goes like this now. Yeah. So this is because of tension. Yeah. So that also you can write, you can find out. So that is also continuous system, that will also have infinite number of natural frequency, because it's a continuous system, hence it has infinite number of degree of freedom, hence it will have infinite natural frequencies. Yeah. So that is